This is Florida Natural Farming at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm, and I just had to come out and look at my sugar apples. I thought I'd just focus on fruit trees today and natural systems going on out here, and go down these sugar apples along the driveway and the road. So there's a row of sugar apples and ginger that stretches 330 feet. And in between each sugar apple is a ginger. This ginger, I bought a little tiny gallon pot and one time, and then just divided it, and it's just everywhere. And plants grow really well in it. So I was just looking at some of these sugar apples along the driveway, and there's still tons of flower on these things, and it looks like it's productive flowers, so large flowers. And there's some small ones, but we're still going through this severe drought right now. So none of these sugar apples are watered at all. None of this ginger has ever been watered. Nothing's been watered here along this driveway. And these are nursery bought trees, so they come at a disadvantage when you buy nursery started trees. It's best to get seeds and start them organically. If I had to do this over, I would start with seeds, Atemoya seeds. I wanted Atemoya trees along the driveway here, but so these are all sugar apples and ginger and mangoes now, and achachas. Some of the sugar apples along the right there died. I have planted Atemoyas there, so they're still little. Most of them along this side are doing good. There's, I don't know, I know we have a lot of Annonas here. It was over 100, but it's gotten a little bit less, but then I planted some seeds, so we might be back at 100, some seedlings. This was rows of sugar apples through here. And 2 hurricanes back to back really did a number on them, but nothing ever really took off in this spot, this spot. I think it has to do with the glyphosate and the runoff and the lawn pond, and because this was all lawn, and just there was no life and the soil was compacted. So I finally buried a bunch of those biodynamic horns through here, and it appears like stuff is like starting to take off, because it's just like dry farmed, so no water ever, not even when you plant it. This is torch ginger. So people on my come by here to the farm are just kind of surprised that we grow ginger in full sun. But yeah, it grows great in full sun. It's looking a little ragged now after the freeze and the drought, but there's a lot of it. It's all there. And this is heliconia cutting I did here. So when I first moved here, I tried to do heliconias, and they all died, always died. I think it had more to do with the source of the heliconia than overall soil conditions, but I don't know. I didn't experiment. So there's quite a bit of sugar apples forming on these trees. They look very healthy too, the sugar apples this year. It doesn't look like there's any black on them. And they all set this fruit during this drought. So looks like there's about, I don't know, 8 or 9 fruit on that tree. This one looks like it has more. I'm surprised people in Florida don't know how to grow these that well. Or they claim to have problems. I mean, look at all the fruit and flowers still on this thing. It's big flowers too, so I know they're all gonna form fruit. So I see 3, 4. I've never pruned these. I mean, the soil is so compacted here that they can't really get a certain height, though it has gotten better and they're getting bigger. So I'm seeing nice looking sugar apple fruit on our trees this year. That one looks like it's just floating. Anyway, that's good. That's exciting. I don't hand pollinate anything. So I refuse to hand pollinate stuff. I have too many trees. You can't. And you just compact the soil walking around the tree in Florida and disturb it. It doesn't make any sense to me. But mowing doesn't make sense to me. Not thinking about the insects that are going to pollinate your fruit trees and protect it from predators. Because I know people have pest issues with these in Florida, and I forget what it is because I've never had to deal with it. And I mean, they're just, sugar apples are, I don't know, they might be as easy as citrus. They don't like wind, I know that. So having this the fruit looks very clean this year too, which can be a problem with sugar apples, but there's still a lot of flower happening, getting ready to happen. So here's a Gefner Atemoya. Gefner Atemoyas produce very well for me. All Atemoyas produce well for me. I know people say you need to pollinate the priestly Atemoya, but that hasn't been my experience. Most of our plants are priestly Atemoyas, of the Atemoyas, and they're all seed started. So from our one tree that has never been watered and got knocked over by a hurricane and produces lots of fruit, but the rabbits like to eat the fruit. So this tree looks pretty good, that little Gefner Atemoya. I guess ginger is really expensive. I guess look at this tree, it's like loaded with sugar apples. I believe these are going to be big sugar apples, and I can count more than 15 fruit just looking at this tree. I don't think you have to hand pollinate to get large fruit set. I gave all of these trees 50 pounds of raw zebu manure during the winter when they didn't have any leaves on them. Basically a compost pile in place. It was the bedding from our zebu barn. I clean it out every day and I apply it sporadically to the rate of 26 pounds of nitrogen per acre. And I used to spread it around, but now I just drop it like a compost pile and leave it and walk away. So that if I want, I could grow vegetables in it in the winter. Dry farmed. This area's looking better. Here's a ilama tree. I would love to get some ilama fruit. Probably one of these years I will. So here's a tree that I can't really get to the other side. I can see it has some fruit on it. Here's a tree that I can't really see any fruit. But I see big flowers and I see little flowers, so I'm sure there's a fruit on there. I just can't see it on the other side. The other side is a whole another view. But if all these other trees have fruit on them, I'm sure that one does. Fruit look really good this year. Exceptionally good. I would be happy with 10 fruit per tree of large sugar apples. More so than 20 smaller sugar apples that aren't usually very good. And this one looks like it's loaded with a lot of fruit. Yeah. So I thought that they couldn't really produce a lot unless they were getting some rain, and that's obviously not true. So here's our Genova red ilama that they put this telephone pole or this electric wire pole in one day without me even noticing it. It didn't hurt the tree, but they put a lot of dirt around it. And this thing, this is Annona something. It's not diversifolia anymore. I don't know. I can't keep up. I have too many plants. Let's see, llama. It had flowers on it, and I don't see any fruit. I put some manure around it, but looks like it has some flower buds forming there, so it's not all done. This little tree, I can't see any fruit from here, but it looks like there is over there. I see some fruit from here on the other side. So I know there's fruit on this tree. Yep. Just so amazed with Florida and the fact that you can plant these hard to grow tropical fruit trees, supposedly hard to grow, here and pretty much do nothing, not water them for sure. Here's a Gefner Atemoya, some big fruit on it. It's not that big of a tree. I was a little late in my Atemoya game. I couldn't find the trees. And for some reason I was looking for Trees rather than seeds at that time. It's a sugar apple that looks like a sugar apple. Doesn't look that good. No ginger next to it. But I planted ginger next to it, it just never grew, which is very bizarre. It says flowers. I can't really see any fruit on this, but I'm sure it does. I'm not focusing. I was looking more at this ginger. So this is the only ginger from the freeze that froze. This is one that I planted because there was a hole here. So this is like 2 years ago I planted one rhizome. It takes 2 years to grow that big without watering it. Oh yeah, there's fruit. There's fruit on these trees. These look like they're going to be really nice fruits. And they still have a lot of flower on them. These things on our beach property, we get 2 crops a year, full crops. 2 different crops, one in the winter, like around March, it's around February, probably. Right around the freeze, whenever the freeze was, I forget. But I didn't plant hundreds of sugar apples over there, so I only had like 5 trees, but they all produce fruit twice a year, and they don't lose their leaves, the ones on the beach. They stay evergreen. These lose their leaves. This tree is loaded in flowers, little flowers. So usually once it starts doing that, it'll start pumping out some fruit. I'm sure there's fruit on it. This one has a lot of big flowers I can smell. Do I see any fruit offhand? No, but I'm sure there will be. I mean, these are the flowers that make the fruit. There's a Atemoya, I believe. No fruit, no ginger next to it. But you know, it's not as old as these sugar apples. It's sugar apple. I was like, that felt like fruit. I walked on, it was a pine cone from this huge tree. This sugar apple I can smell it from here, and it's loaded with flowers, so it's just doing its thing now. There's fruit on this one. Clean little fruits. That's what I want. Not too many of them. Large fruit this year. That was my goal. See if the manure does it. I hate the little tiny sugar apples that are full of seeds. I hate them. Oh. They made me almost dig up my old sugar apples at my original fruit forest, because I tasted the fruit. I bought some fruit at the rare food auction, sugar apple, and I tasted it. I said, this is horrible. Me and my partner both hated it. And this tree is covered in fruit. We both hated it, but I'm like, no, we'll just wait. And then they fruited, and I'm like, this tastes nothing like the fruit from this poor mango. This never made it from the freeze, but it's okay. So I have planted ginger, but some of it's coming up. But there's a little citrus and stuff that I have in here. They're doing good. These mangoes are looking good over here on this tree. Florigon. We got mangoes, it's not what I'd expect. It's not typical. This is a custard apple tree. I don't know what type. Anyway, this is Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm. And that's some sugar apples and Atemoyas. Have a good day.